who needs to hear this today, but a huge part of your confidence is actually going to come from taking the inspired action. So oftentimes when we're wanting to create something, maybe you're wanting to make videos and go live because you want to grow a coaching or a course creation business. Maybe you want to get confident with public speaking, with sharing your ideas, whatever it is. So often we feel like the only answer is to watch more videos and read another book, but I want to share with you that a huge part of the confidence will come from taking the inspired action. So there's nothing against informing yourself. There's nothing against reading a book or anything like that. But careful of your balance between creation and consumption, because a huge trap that people fall into is consuming. I need another book. I need another course. I need another video. I need to read another blog. And before you know it, you've spent, let's say in a week's time, you've spent 6 days consuming and you still haven't taken action. A lot of the programs that I create, I reference actually how to teach, right? Like science-backed practices that are effective ways to teach. And so one thing that I always share with my students is there's something called a learning pyramid. So if you just read and watch information and listen to information, you only retain about 20 to 40% of the information. But when you go out and you actually teach the information, so you share it with a friend, you share it in a live stream, you share it in a video, you teach to your dog, whatever it is, you've retained 90% of the information. So if all you're doing is taking in more information, but you're not utilizing it, you're not embodying it, you are not even retaining it. So even though it feels like you're productive because you're taking in more information, it's not actually as productive as it feels because you're not actioning it, therefore not creating those new neural pathways that will bring it in. So I remember when I was starting Yes Supply, I was so nervous to do a live stream like this, so nervous to speak in front of a room, so nervous even to raise my hand and speak up in a meeting. Whenever I would think about sharing my ideas, I literally had a vision of people throwing tomatoes at me, having this mean look on their face saying, like, your ideas are stupid, like that's never gonna work. And so because of this internal picture, I kept quiet. But once I had the vision for creating something like Yes Supply, and if you have the vision for creating something that's bigger than you, it's important to think about who is that version of you who could actually bring it into existence. And so I knew that the version of Reese who'd be able to impact thousands of people and share my message was not afraid of speaking up to two to three people, was not even afraid of speaking up to 50 people or 100 people. And so I worked on cultivating that within myself. And so at first I was afraid, but I did it anyway. I actually signed up for a public speaking training called Toastmasters, even though I was scared, even though literally my body was shaking, and I forced myself outside of my comfort zone until I rewired those new neural pathways and was able to teach myself, okay, this is actually safe. No one's gonna throw tomatoes at me. No one's gonna throw shade at me. And even if they did, that says more about them than it says about me. And I started to do live stream. At first, I just practiced in front of the mirror. So we all know that there's so much science behind visualization and mental rehearsal. So I would mentally rehearse myself, sharing my message or my story or my speech. I would sit in front of the mirror and practice it, or I would stand in my room and practice it to the point that I actually went live. And sometimes my lives were so bad, sometimes I would forget what to say and I would just delete them after, right? That's the great thing about the internet. You can just delete it after it's gone, right? But then the more I did it, the easier it got. I got more positive feedback. I was able to see oh my gosh, I really can do that. And I continued on this path. And now I've taught hundreds of people in person and thousands of people online, but it wouldn't have started if I didn't take that inspired action. So when you're thinking of taking inspired action, it's normal that that little negative nagging voice in your head is going to show up and say, you can't do it. But that voice isn't truth. That voice is just your past programs trying to pull you back into who you used to be. And so what you need to do is allow your faith and your trust and your belief that you can create something greater, allow that to be bigger than that little voice in your head. And I also teach within Yes Supply Method and within Yes It's Yours, I also teach so many great subconscious reprogramming tools that allow you to release that little voice in your head and release that little limiting belief and release that little limiting emotion. So if you want access to Yes It's Yours, you can just type "It's Mine" down below, and you'll get the link for that. If you want to learn more about the Yes Supply Method, you can just type waitlist and you'll be the first to know when the doors open. But I just want to remind you, do not compare your step 1 to someone else's step 100. So if you're looking at, me, who I have tons of videos online and I've done speaking events, or if you're looking at someone else who's a great speaker, know that they didn't start being a great speaker. They didn't come out of the womb leading rooms of people, right? They started probably just as nervous as you feel, talking to one other person, sharing their ideas with one other person until they grew, they cultivated their skills, and they were able to help more people. And so I want to remind you that that confidence is going to come from inspired action. Do not let your doubt and your fear be louder than that voice of faith and that voice of trust and that voice of knowing that what your purpose is so much greater. And the thing is, like, when you're thinking of procrastinating or you're worried about, like, what if I put in all this time and it doesn't work out? The thing is, the time is going to pass anyway. So you might as well move towards what it is that you want. And best case scenario, it all works out better than you ever could have imagined. And worst case scenario, you are able to cultivate a skill set in what it is that you want to do. Right? So I remember when I had that thought when I was starting Yes Supply, I wanted to post motivational and empowering content online. And I had this fear, well, what if it doesn't work out? But I realized if it does work out, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And if it doesn't work out, I've developed skills in the things that I'm excited about and believe in anyway. And I can use those skills maybe for another career, maybe for another aspect of my portfolio, for another passion. So when you put your effort and your love and your energy into something, none of that is lost. None of that is wasted. Everything that you put that energy in can be used for good. And so the only thing that will hold you back is you continuing to hold yourself back. And I encourage you to follow that inspired action and wherever it takes you. So if you love this, if you want to learn more about how to use the subconscious tools for yourself, I teach this inside Yes It's Yours. I teach my 5-step process to creating the reality that I wanted. And if you want to dive deeper into this to learn how to use it for yourself and for your coaching clients, then just type waitlist below and I'll send you the link so that you can get on the waitlist for something very exciting that's coming. So we have the Yes Supply Method that's going to be opening its doors very soon. And we have new ways that you can actually join the Yes Supply Method. One that has not yet been released ever, it's brand new, and one that has not been around since before the pandemia. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I'd love to talk to you. And thanks so much for watching.